Hey guys, welcome back. So now getting back into our talks about the Immortal Hulk, which is truly one of my favorite series to talk about, and mainly because it's one of those instances like with any and every issue that you pick up, you know it's gonna be worth it. And with this series, like there are no filler issues like just to sell copies. And for us as the readers and fans, Al Ewing's writing, it just stirs up so many conversations that just soar beyond the pages of every book. And it just goes so much further beyond just Hulk smash. Though I do like Hulk smash, but hey, there's more. And at this point where the story jumps back to the Hulk, from our recent talks about the leader, we now come to a place to where the people love him again after defeating Zemnu. So let's get into it. But first, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to catch the spills every week. And don't forget to hit that bell up top so we can squad up in the comments for the first hour. Alright, so picking up at this point after our talks about the leader, who recently has made some very impressive strides to say the least, and as far as not only the new things that he's learned about gamma radiation, but it's where he's taken that with everything that we've seen throughout Immortal Hulk, but also what we've seen him do with the accumulation of all that knowledge, which at this point has him on the cusp of godhood, especially with him applying all that knowledge and science to the new discovery of the Green Door. But aside from that, we then jump over to Bruce Banner, who at this point throughout Immortal Hulk, we've explored so many layers of Bruce Banner, and not just him but the many Hulks who live inside. And for a little bit I want to go over the Hulks that not only we've seen throughout the course of Immortal Hulk, but also how these changes will affect what's to come, because at this point we've got to see a bit deeper not only into Bruce but also what has manifested these different personalities, which essentially is what all the Hulks are. Different personalities made sentient. But what this does for us is it takes us into understanding that for one, you have Bruce Banner, who for the most part is emotionally distant, he's timid, and he's a retreater by nature. But aside from that, you also have Joe Fixit, who at this point in time no longer shows up as your Grey Hulk, who unlike Banner is more of your extrovert. He's considered to be more quote-unquote ruthless, but Joe Fixit has now become that character with a growing conscience, which as a reminder, that's one of the main reasons why Joe Fixit is now coming out in the appearance of Banner, because with every Hulk in relation to Banner, the more that Banner becomes like them personality-wise and vice versa, it changes something about that Hulk. And in the case of Joe Fixit, this now causes him to manifest looking like Banner, which is mostly the result in the change of his personality, with him growing a conscience. But now in the case of the Hulks in your hulking form, you then had the case of your Savage Hulk. And throughout the course and history of the Incredible Hulk, Savage Hulk is the one we've seen the most, and he comes off as your more childlike Hulk, and mainly because his communication is very rudimentary, but also because his temper is easily swayed to the environment that's around him. So if you're nice to Hulk, Hulk is nice to you, but if you hurt Hulk or won't leave Hulk alone, Hulk will smash. And that is pretty much Savage Hulk in a nutshell. But after this, next up we have Devil Hulk. And in the case of Devil Hulk, there's definitely been a lot of confusion between people mistaking this Hulk for Brian Banner, Bruce's father. So I want to try and take a few seconds to clear it up real quick. Because for one, even though Brian Banner was recognized as the Devil Hulk first, but inside of Bruce there's also a Devil Hulk persona who is manifested within Bruce as a surrogate father figure. And this is why the Devil Hulk always takes it personal when somebody hurts Bruce, and Devil Hulk also feels the immense need to protect Bruce, and it's mainly because he's the manifestation within Bruce of the father that Bruce wished he had. And this is also why the Devil Hulk is so violent, because as a child growing up, Bruce was always abused by his father, and subconsciously, like deep within Bruce, he always wished that someone would use that rage and that passion to protect him rather than hurt him. And it's literally that abusive nature which has been inverted and turned against the world or whoever may try to harm Bruce that has become the Devil Hulk. And that's also what makes the Devil Hulk so dangerous, because he's pretty much like a version of Brian Banner if he actually loved his son, which really makes him that life-threatening, you might just die fighting this Hulk. But then after that you have Green Scar Hulk, who's the most intelligent of the Hulks that I mentioned thus far, and in his case mainly because all of the time that was spent on Sakaar, as a fighter, as a protector, as a lover, as a leader, those are the things that manifested this new identity, or those of which that were new at the time during Planet Hulk. But then this version of the Hulk grew even more throughout the course of World War Hulk after losing the ones he loved so dearly, and through the process making the world pay for it, even though it really wasn't their fault. But in a lot of ways he's very similar to the Devil Hulk, but rather than him being just a Hulk that wants to protect Banner, this is a Hulk that wants to protect Banner and others, which figuratively is a much more powerful motivation, but also in a literal sense, it's the reason why he's stronger than all the other Hulks which I mentioned thus far. And that very much attributes to the logic that as people, we'll care more for others and do more for others, especially that who we love, than we would actually do for ourselves. And also in the case of Green Scar Hulk, at this point in time, he's like the king of Banner's consciousness, and we found out recently that he's the one within Banner who keeps all the other Hulks in check, and he keeps a level of order within Banner's consciousness, not just to protect Banner, but also from what he's learned, also to protect others from the chaos of these other Hulks. And so now where all this brings us now, throughout the course of the Immortal Hulk, we once again arrive in Banner's consciousness to where the Devil Hulk, he is on lockdown. And when we find him here, Banner's trying to free him, but the chains are too strong and Banner can't get him out. And it's very much likely that this is the result of Green Scar Hulk locking the Devil Hulk away, but even still with seeing this, Banner is still a bit conflicted, mainly because recently he started to understand who the Devil Hulk really is, which to me is one of the best parts about the Immortal Hulk, with Banner's relationship growing between the different Hulks. And it even goes a step deeper when he's met with the arrival of Savage Hulk, because when Savage Hulk gets here and he refers to him as Stupid Banner, and Banner more or less responds like, is that necessary? Do you really gotta call me that, big guy? But as we know, like Savage Hulk, he just wants to be called Hulk, and for every time that Banner doesn't call him Hulk, he'll just call him Stupid Banner, because once again, he's the childlike Hulk and he'll treat you how he's treated. And even the argument could be made that he's Petty Hulk. Like Hulk got time today, like Hulk got time every day. But what's really important is that it's also here throughout this conversation to where Savage Hulk admits that he thought that this was something that Xemnu did. Like perhaps this was an illusion of the mind and Xemnu did this to get Devil Hulk out of the way, but as it turns out, that's not the case. And it's also here where Savage Hulk explains to Banner that this is Banner's mind and these chains are practically his doing, regardless of who physically put these chains here. And Savage Hulk knows firsthand because for the longest time, he's experienced the majority of Banner trying to get rid of the Hulk, whether it was seeking a cure or getting Hawkeye to do his dirty work. Like one way or another, Banner has provided these chains, and it even goes back to before Green Scar Hulk locked up the Devil Hulk, which was something that we were also shown earlier on in the Immortal Hulk series. But along with that, it's here that we see Banner once again try to remove the chains, because at the core of the Devil Hulk, Banner believes that there's more potential there. And with Banner, after admitting to Savage Hulk that he's constantly retreated to a solution of either trying to get rid of the Hulks or lock them away, but now after talking to Savage Hulk, they both then come to the same page that there is another way and a better solution. But also while they're having this discussion, Joe Fixit is currently at the wheel, so to speak, and in the real world he is the Hulk that is on the surface, which is also a product of Savage Hulk defeating Xemnu, and with doing that now Joe Fixit is no longer locked in Banner's mind. But also with much of what we talked about with Banner and Savage Hulk working on releasing the Devil Hulk, this then gives Joe Fixit these reoccurring migraines, which he then explains to Doc Samson roughly a bit of what's been going on in there. But along with this, Joe Fixit, he continues to laud much of the things that Devil Hulk has done. But it seems like even still, like even in spite of that, Savage Hulk is the one who gets to be out in the lead, or at least come out the most. And Samson tells Joe that, well, you gotta look at one thing, like he is the people's favorite Hulk, and at least in the moment, because after all, he did stop Xemnu, and for that reason, people are seeing the Hulk in a different light, even after Banner's announcement of the Hulk destroying the world, which at this point in the eyes of the public is now being perceived more as the Hulk just destroying Roxxon, because really to the general public, there's not really this perspective of Banner in these multiple Hulks, but really there's just Banner in the Hulk. And because of that, after the Hulk saved everyone from Xemnu's hypnotism, they now believe that everything the Devil Hulk was saying, it was more so geared towards taking down Roxxon and destroying those who are evil, rather than just destroying the world entirely. And partially, that was the plan of the Devil Hulk, but by no means was he willing to just stop there. And with him being locked away, it seems like taking down Roxxon was his direct objective, and only objective, because after Savage Hulk defeated Xemnu, Roxxon's stocks plummeted, which then caused them to file for bankruptcy, and with the Hulk saving the day, the people then loved the Hulk again. And once again, mainly because to the general public, the Hulk is just the Hulk, regardless of whichever one surfaces. And because the Hulk is now seen as a hero, the mayor invites him out so that himself and the people can celebrate their champion. But before we even get to that, the conversation between Joe Fixit and Doc Samson, it's then interrupted by Betty, who demands to speak to Banner. And when she asks this, Joe doesn't get in the way, he lets her talk to Banner. But the reason that she wanted to speak to Banner was to tell him that she's leaving Shadow Base. She feels like she's locked in a cage here and she can't stay in his cage any longer. But because Betty is in her harpy form, Banner asks her to change back so he can talk to Betty, but she refuses to do so, which then causes Banner to walk away. But then she flips out, she's like, I am Betty, more or less telling Bruce that in this form my word is as good as any. But this leads Bruce to tell her, like, I want you to change back, I want to speak to the woman that I love. And it's here where Harpy says no you don't, and she leaves, which now gives us this disconnect between Bruce and his wife, to where in his case he may be dealing with multiple personalities, but for her, who's to say that her situation is the same? But after this, we then jump over to the public appearance, which is set up by the mayor, which has the Savage Hulk doing some rebuilding in the community, but also meeting with the press to show the public that he's not here to harm people. And a lot of people have showed up here, including Jackie McGowan, who's definitely on the Hulk side after all they've been through together, but even still she's a bit confused because most of her interactions have been with Devil Hulk, more so than Savage Hulk. And for that reason, the whole idea of so many media outlets doing this puff piece for the Hulk, for her is like a very surreal moment. But when one of the reporters decides to be a jerk and he brings up the topic of destruction that the Hulk has caused in the past, it quickly rubs Hulk the wrong way. And when the Hulk responds, he snaps this huge wooden beam with the clench of his fist. And when he does it, needless to say, people get nervous. But rather quickly, like right after, the Hulk calms down. And when he does, it's like a moment of relief for everybody there and the people watching at home. Because right after, Savage Hulk kind of cracks a joke, saying that he just gonna build half a house. And granted, like while all of this is going down, like Rick Jones, he was sent out there from Shadow Base just to keep an eye on Savage Hulk. Because really with him breaking this beam, he does feel bad about it. But when Rick goes to comfort Savage Hulk and tell him that it's okay, like when he makes contact with the Hulk, the gamma energy begins to surge through the Hulk's body, and immediately the Hulk knows that something's not right. And as Savage Hulk describes it, something is building and building inside of him that is absolutely out of his control. And when this happens, Rick Jones tries to get everyone out of the way because this energy doesn't seem to de-escalate, but before you know it, the Hulk just explodes with gamma energy, which on one hand kinda leaves us at a cliffhanger, but even with doing so, I'd make the argument that this was done by the leader, because much like we had seen before where he had created gamma explosions to try to reproduce the results of the Hulk, he had later found that this would not only cause many casualties, but statistically with this happening, a small number of people within an explosion like this, they would then become transformed into a form of a type of Hulk, or if not, someone with a strange power connected to the Green Door, which would in turn teach the leader more about gamma radiation. And also I gotta say, like in this case, I believe that Jackie McGee is gonna be that one person who comes back with some sort of power. Because if you guys remember, for the longest time she's had this intrigue with the Hulk, if you will. Because even though many years ago he had destroyed her home, which then caused her father to work himself to death in order to provide for her, but underneath all of that, she has admitted that when she had first seen the Hulk, in that moment, she wanted to have that strength and that power. And I wouldn't be surprised if she's one of the few who just got it. And so now real quick, I want to give a shout out to all the Patreons. Thank you guys for all of your support. And for anyone who wants more information on how to support the channel, I got a link down below to where you can head to patreon.com/dopespill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and also your theories on this mysterious surge and explosion, because it may very well have much to do with what's been going on in Banner's mind, contributing to some of this instability. Because really, if you think about it, we've seen the Hulk absorb huge amounts of gamma energy before. So with knowing that, there's gotta be a lot more than what we've seen on the surface. But aside from that, it's just too bad that the Sentry wasn't here. Could have saved some lives, man. But no, he out in the negative zone trying to be positive. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll do it again in the next one. Alright, later.